well spoken. How about one more hand for Uncensored? We'll now move into open mic. We still have 2 spots left. Is there anyone that I can put on right away? Well, we will get ready then. Let's just go 2 at a time. Well, let's go 3 at a time. We have first for you Ebony Tyler, then Aaron Timm, and then Diane Harvey.
Okay, I can't be seen over there. It's okay, I'll just sit next to it, that works. Okay, so my name is Ebony. In this poem, it's a work in progress. Started it last week. It doesn't have a title and it's not finished. But we'll go from here, okay? Sounds like a plan. Alright. When you uproot a plant and place it in foreign soil, how can you expect it to thrive? My name is Ebony. Connecting me back to my African roots, these 5 letters leave splinters on my tongue, just like the wood it was carved from. It is heavy, like the oppression that has been placed on our backs for centuries. It is a wonder we are still standing. Like, it is a wonder we are still standing. Our history here only spans 250 years, and our memories, and in that time, our memories are clouded by smoke blowing in the southern breeze and images of black bodies hanging from the poplar trees. And y'all ask why we gotta talk about race, as if the Africa in my bones, longing for the country my ancestors once called home, wasn't reason enough. That's all I have so far. Thank you.
Hi. So I wrote a new poem. Yay! I haven't read a new poem in like almost 2 years almost. It's frightening. Anyway, I'll just go. This is called Why. I've been workshopping this. I haven't done the changes yet, so if you were in my workshop, I love you and I'm gonna Why. I curl the tail of my why, wrap it around itself to create the curved stem of a flower. Each sentence has at least one daisy Y in it. Y, the only letter that I can make pretty. As I scan the page, each one makes me happy. A spot of sun on my muddy page of mismatched, smooshed, ugly writing. I write SWICKEY on the line marked name, first, last. These 7 letters I can make all the same size, not like Christensen, which always gets sloppy near the end. The lunchroom is decorated for our Christmas program. I stand at the end of the first row, my lucky sweater under a green Oshkosh dress. My stepdad hugs me tight to his side after the performance. These are my kids, he beams. My paper comes back. My Y's circled in red pen. Beside each is the simple intersecting line, the V with a tail, as my teacher says. Do it this way. At the top of the page, Swicky is crossed out. My teacher has written Christensen in tight, even letter. These kids will grow up and ask where you were, Barry. My mother isn't shouting, but she's mad. My father stands on the street telling Mom why he can't take us for another weekend. Stan keeps us inside, tries to keep us away from the window. I write the name Christensen on the name line. Stan sat with me at the kitchen table practicing each letter. Go slow with each one. Take your time, he said. I write flower Y's only at the end of sentences. Stan says that is a fair compromise. Thank you.
This is a short story from a collection that I wrote about my little brother, who's in his 50s now. But it's called Scotty Stories. Anyway, this is called The Talking Game. Scotty was born a little early, near the end of July. From the beginning, he was different than the rest of us kids. smaller and slighter in stature. His fingers and toes were delicate as were his features. Large, beautiful eyes peering shyly from under long eyelashes, a petite nose, and a big, charming smile. His personality was different, too. We Blaine kids were noisy and outgoing, while Scotty was shy and unsure of himself. A good boy, he entertained himself, often declining to play with others. Most of the time, he wore a look of apprehension, anxiety about getting his picture taken or playing with other children. Riding in the car was especially traumatic, as he thought he was being taken to the doctor for a shot. Mama spoiled him terribly, calling him baby brother. It could have been because he was the last of 5 kids, or because she and Daddy hadn't planned him. Our whole family went along with her, responding to Scotty's every whim. Was he warm enough, hungry, feeling sad, afraid? For his 3rd birthday, we threw a party in the backyard, where Scotty received many gifts: a train, Lincoln logs, an Etch-a-Sketch, and several storybooks. He especially liked the plastic wading pool that I gave him. Sherry Kay filled it while Connie got him into his swim trunks. David set up the sprinkler, and the birthday party became a swimming party because we didn't take time to play the games that Mama had planned. After 2 hours in the hot sun, I coaxed Scotty into stopping long enough to eat his birthday cake and ice cream. It's funny, when you live with others, you get used to them and don't notice obvious things. That's how it was with Scotty. As I helped Mama and Daddy clear up the mess from the party, my friend Margaret, who was sleeping overnight, remarked, "Diane, shouldn't your little brother be talking by now?" I thought about that night. When Margaret went home in the morning, I mentioned it to Mom and Daddy. It was a jolt to them as it was to me. None of us had ever noticed that he wasn't talking. He made noises, plenty of them, laughing, grunting, yelling, but not talking, not even baby talk. "We'd better take him to a specialist in Salt Lake, Lorene," Daddy said. "I don't know why none of us have noticed this before." "Well, baby brother's so normal in every other way, but I suppose you're right," Mama distressed. "He definitely should be talking." Just then David came into the kitchen, overhearing Mama. "He talks all the time when we go to Randy's house." "He does?" gasped Daddy. "What does he say?" "Anything he wants to," shrugged David. "And you understand him?" "Sure, Randy's whole family does." David headed out the back door. The air was thick with tension that night at the dinner table. I could see David had told Sherry Kay and Connie of the situation because they never once took their eyes off Scotty, who sat oblivious to their stares. After saying grace, I got myself some creamed potatoes with peas and passed the bowl to the younger kids. When it got to Scotty, Mama dished him up a spoonful, and Daddy shot her a dirty look. The carrots made their way around. Scotty grunted and frowned. Mama, avoiding Daddy's scrutiny, hurriedly passed them on. Then, trying to gain a foothold, she said, "How was school today, kids?" "I was the first one in my class to finish reading Heidi," Sherry Kay said, looking nervously at Daddy, who appeared to not hear her. "At recess, we played dodgeball, and I got 2 girls out," bragged David. "Not boys, I bet," Connie taunted. "I don't get what we're doing in algebra," I ventured. "Old man Shields will probably give me a C." Daddy prided himself in being able to teach even an idiot math. When he didn't respond, I knew Scotty was in trouble. After supper, I cleared the dishes and the kids got ready for bed. Mama dressed Scotty in his pajamas and read him caps for sale. I watched Daddy's creased brow as she read. He alternately clenched his fists and clenched his teeth and his fist. He's feeling duped by a 3-year-old, I thought. Mama finished the book and Daddy stood frowning. "Time for bed," he announced. Scotty will want a drink of water now, I thought. I was right. He pointed to a sink. Usually that was all it took for Mama to jump up and fill a cup of water for him, often one of many. Tonight she didn't respond. Scotty yanked on her dress, while pointing to the tap. She sat despondent without looking at him. Now Scotty, his face red and contorted, grabbed at her leg and yelled, as loud as he could. Daddy, grinning like a set of teeth on a dish, said, "If you want a drink of water, you have to ask for it." Scotty flung himself on the floor, his fist pounding. As he kicked Mama's chair, he banged his head up and down, his wild eyes never leaving her face. Daddy grinned savagely, and we kids watched in silence, remembering our own traumatic times when Daddy was staring at us. Scotty sat up, his face pinched in anger, looking Mama straight in the eye. He took in a huge gulp of air and held it. We kids watched in horror as his face turned as red as a beet. "He's not breathing, he'll pass out," cried Sherry Kay. Connie alternately covered her face with her hands and plugged her ears. David, with eyes closed tightly, loudly hummed to drown out what was happening. I closed my eyes and tried to think of something, anything, but to no avail. "You kids leave the room," Daddy bellowed, "now." Sherry Kay, Connie, and David filed into the hallway, their faces sullen and accusing. I sat rigid with fright, thinking, is 13 an adult or a kid? What if he turns his anger on me? "Oh, baby brother," Mama pleaded, tears rolling down her cheeks. "That's enough, Lorene. Keep quiet or you can leave the room too," Daddy thundered. After what seemed like an eternity, but was only a minute, it ended. It was over as quick as it started. Scotty sat up, gasped for breath. He looked over at Mama, red-eyed and agonizing, then hesitantly at Daddy, irate and unyielding, and said, "Can I have a drink of water?"
Our next three readers are Amy Nelson, Felicia Rose, and Brittany McDonald.
Okay, this is called Unable to Sleep. Rain leaves a trace. Dusty, dried, stain drops on windshields. Worms cluttering sidewalks. Muggy air. Pain leaves a trace. 2 a.m. Unable to sleep. Unable to accept the way I had to flush my dreams of a baby down the toilet. Would it have been better to dig a shallow hole in my garden, cover the bloody purple clump of cells with dirt, place a painted rock on top, visit every day and wonder why you stopped growing and the weeds continue on relentless?
Two short poems. This one is called Pilot. Some of you may have heard it already. Dad retired from his desk job, where for 30 years he grounded himself in a cabin, designing engines for choppers and planes, now gives himself license to pilot a more adventurous course. Heeding the map of his passions, he works at the flying club, reviving old engines, giving lessons to rookies, repairing propellers and wings. For these labors, his employer, an amicable chap, pays him in scones. Dad hovers for a moment in the hangar of their friendship where they chat and talk shop. Then he enters the cockpit, checks the weather and compass, and soars through a self-designed life. And this one is called Cleaning Spree. It's what made me think to write is that both my house and my thoughts were a mess. Cleaning spree. Leaves from a windstorm dally on the porch screen, ashes from the stone hearth idle on the floor. Hasten, I tell myself. Toil now to spare tomorrow's self these never-ending chores. But I, the present I, linger in the attic, sweeping cobwebs from thoughts neglected and obscured. Nestled on a hassock, I sort through words, whole cedar trunks of them. Which shall I keep and which discard? How shall I arrange them, trig and trim?
Ah, there's one I may use. Sesquipedalian, bequeathed years ago by a dear old friend. I turn it in my hands, a lexical gem, though surely as cumbrous as a bucket of steel. Tucked in the corner, charming baskets wrought of fixed forms and rhyme, perfect for petticoats or picnics, but too warm to hold the weight of ideas. Joy of joys, here beneath the floorboards, a jewel box brims with crystal beads of morphemes, golden strands of syntax, phoneme silent for far too long. I unpack these treasures and polish each one. Then I work them together and hang them from the rafters, so when the next draft comes along, a tidy grammar will chime through the house.
Hello everyone, I'm super excited to be here. Like, I haven't been here all summer, but I knew Isaac was reading and I've had it marked on my calendar forever, and I love everyone at the end. I have a couple poems. This first one's called Escape, and I actually wrote it for my friends Millie and Jeannie, neither of which are here, but they're here and here. I imagine us escaping to a cabin in the cradle of the canyon's craggy arms. It's always the fall in these dreams, and we drown with snaps, crunch into orange carpet, trees shading our cabin with curtains of royal gold. Our cabin has no wires, and we must roast marshmallows by candlelight, suck the stick from fingertips in oversized sweatshirts, rock on swings that creak on branches in the dark. We sleep in child's beds and wake to beetles crawling on wood walls, sunlight breathing through cracked window panes. The days escape my imagination, but I know that if we get that far, we will love, not the kind that starts forest fires, but the kind that cooks with wine. The second one is part of kind of a series. I've been calling myself Splinter Spine lately in my poems, and so this one's called Splinter Spine Addresses Her Mouth, and Alyssa and Shannon back there actually helped me with this one, so thanks guys. To my splintering spine, your head of gold atop your stalk like wheat. A shard of you is stuck between my molars. I grind on you the nights you gorge yourself with wine corks, donuts, sushi. You sliver my gums. I push you round the dark with my tongue while you crack, cocoon in the corner, suck cherry cough drops, watch the tall man figure beside you fall into dreams you cannot follow because you're wide and awake, your body sagging with knowledge. You crushed another happiness, snapped. I don't know if I will spit or swallow, but Splinter Spine, your stalk of gold was always hollow. Thank you.
Our final three readers are Brittany McDonald, Timm Keller, and then Lizzy.
Except I already won.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our last two readers are Timm Keller and Lizzy.
Okay, so usually I write something for Helicon, I bring it into my writer's group and type it up. And this time I actually brought this into my writer's group first. We'll see how it goes. Working because it's a couple months old and I still haven't read it at Helicon for some reason, so we'll see. Fluffy. First, let me say I don't hate animals, honest, especially not dogs. What happened was just an accident. I was cleaning the upstairs bathroom, well, using, then cleaning. I'm not really allowed to use the master bath. As far as I'm concerned, makes it their fault. The life of a houseboy isn't as glam as you might think. They get the mansion, I get a closet. They get a whirlpool bath, I get a sink and a toilet. You take your perks where you can get them. That stupid barking rat was at the side of the tub just yipping away, demanding yet another doggy treat, a walk. Or maybe that ridiculous rubber hot dog, who the hell knows? Fucking rat dogs, they're worse than newborns. I mean, if a newborn cries, you can always just stuff a pacifier in his mouth and take a break. And walk away, it's not like they can follow you. Even the most colicky baby will eventually tire itself out. Not so with Fluffy. I had my earbuds in, but nothing can shut out that high-pitched bark. Anyway, there I was, doing my level best to ignore it. It's like a game, you know? See how long I could ignore the little demon before finally breaking down. I just finished dropping a deuce in the forbidden bowl, but the damn toilet wouldn't flush. Just sort of cleared the pipes a little, then nothing. Which was all I fucking needed. The one room I wasn't supposed to be in, and I went and broke the thing. It's not like I could have blamed it on the dog. Or that they'd believe me if I caught the thing in the act and put it on YouTube. Well, I'm no plumber, but what choice did I have? I lift off the tank thingy, and suddenly the dog went nuts, even for it. Except it's like easier to ignore now. I can see the problem. There's a brick jammed up against the ball thingy. Stupid, hippie, yuppie water conservation. Praying that at least the tank water is clean, I take the plunge, my hand anyway. But the brick is stuck. When it finally did come loose, I couldn't get it to lie down without blocking the flusher thing. I finally pulled the brick out to try another angle, but some things, the second it cleared the tank, the rabid little son of a bitch forfeited my game of Fluffy isn't here anymore and sank his teeth into my ankle. And not just a nip, you know. I was all kicking and shit until finally I got a good one that sent the demented little throw rug into the wall. But it turned and came at me again. What choice did I have but to throw the brick? I didn't hit it or anything, but suddenly there's all these pebble fiends clattering across the Italian marble floor and a broken baggie still taped to the brick. Again, all their fault. All they had to say was, "Hey, Pete, stay out of the bathroom. That's where we keep the meth." And I wouldn't have gone near it. I considered my options. I could flush down the toilet. I could take a little, sell the rest, and make a run for the border. I could call the cops, but they'd be a ton more likely to blame me than them. I watched enough Breaking Bad to realize none of these would work. Then it hit me. I could just get another baggie and put everything back the way I found it. I raced to pick up the toxic guilt pebbles, jamming them in my pocket as I went. That's when I turned to the baggie, and before I could even threaten the demonic little beast with a future hanging in the window of the Vietnamese restaurant, it seized the baggie and made a break for the door. It was a short chase. Fluffy had turned the wrong way from the stairs and run into a dead end where he stood his ground, fangs at the ready. I opted for diplomacy. "Here, Fluffy, good dog, just drop the baggie away. Come on," I soothed. "How about a nice walk?" "That's right, or a nice snack. Some of that pate you like so much." He stopped snarling, then cocked his head and allowed me to approach, before making a break for it. But I caught him by that ridiculous cubic zirconium-studded dog collar, clamped his head against the floor with both my hands. Needle-sharp teeth snapped impotently as I pried the spit-drenched baggie from his jaws. The empty baggie. Now I'm no tweaker. But I've been clubbing long enough to have learned a thing or two. A rock or bump of crystal is enough to get a grown man high. 2 is enough to send him on the adventure of his life. 3 is definitely not advisable. And by my conservative estimate, there was at least 30 bumps in the baggie, which probably explained the deep gurgling snarls percolating up from behind me. Fluffy?" I said. "Good dog." A quick look at the hall clock confirmed I was out of time. Carl would be home in an hour. Jeff soon thereafter. Dinner had yet to be started, and I was definitely going to have problems explaining why their beloved pet was performing selections from the live-action version of Cujo. "Hey, boy," I said feebly, "how about a walk?" Fur rose on his hackles as he roared, unsettling from a lion, petrifying from a Pomeranian. I barely had time to duck as he launched himself at my throat. I'll pause here to explain, for those not in the know, about one of the more peculiar side effects of meth, namely in the user's inability to accurately determine distance or strength. Further, that even if I had sacrificed my safety, perfect skin, complexion, for the strung-out little throw rug, it would likely not have mattered. In any event, I made no such sacrifice, choosing instead to step aside, which action proved to be provide the most excellent view a Fluffy crashing out the second-story window. Silence from below told me everything I needed to know. Well, that and the thumb. So ended my last job. And no, I'd really rather you didn't contact my former employer. I'm reasonably certain that wouldn't end well for either of us. The meager amount of meth in my pockets got me this far, sort of a poor boy's witness protection. At any rate, I can start right away. I just have one caveat: no pets.
Hi, I'm Isaac's niece. And I'm gonna be doing it's actually a song I wrote about abandonment, but I think it would, Nobody knows how hard being abandoned is without a mom and dad by your side. It's time to leave the darkness, it's time to find a family. It's time to leave the darkness, it's time to find a home. Any guy can have a child, but it takes a real man to be a dad. And the same part of real.
Well, thank you to everyone who read. Special thanks to Isaac and the great poetry and prose. Another hand for Isaac, maybe? When is the next section of Helicon?
Fourth Thursday in August.
Fourth Thursday in August. Do we have a feature?
I'm in July.
In July, okay. Do we have a feature?
Yes. Let me look, because I forgot her name, and she works at the library, and she's going to be great. I'll find it.
Got that immaculate handwriting.
Nikki Garrett, fiction writer, July 23rd, 7 o'clock, right here.
All right, we'll see you then. Please help put your chairs away. I think they were right back in this corner over here. And thank you for coming. Come back, bring friends.
Thanks,
Drink all the
John.
coffee. I'm going to take it away now.